Welcome, listeners, to Season 4, Episode 7 of the Gateway Geeks Podcast. This time, we're torturing ourselves with Hudson Hawk and Timecop. For the first time ever, Gateway Geeks achieves gender parity, so join us as we celebrate with your hosts, Joe, Tracy, Sarah, and Chris.
All right, welcome to Season 4, Episode 7 of the Gateway Geeks Podcast. I hope it's Episode 7, because that's what I'm going to say. So my name's Joe Colburn, and let my hosts, or the co-hosts introduce themselves. Tracy.
Oh, hi. My name's Tracy. I'm Joe's wife, and I'm filling in today because some other hosts couldn't be here. Glad to be here.
And because Tracy was also forced to watch the two terrible movies that the rest of us watched. So this is her chance to speak her piece on that.
Indeed.
Oh, it's me. Hi, I'm Sarah Jane Connor. I'm also here.
Hi, I'm Chris Knetzer. I'm Joe's other wife and often co-host of whatever the hell this is.
Yeah, we need to come up with something between co-host and panelist, because I feel like the three of us are kind of like the core. Like maybe we're co-hosts, and then maybe all the other people. I don't know. It's going to be weird.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm a person you're listening to now.
My voice is going into your eardrums. Yeah. So for this week, Oh, sorry, Sarah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm a woman that Joe has roped into this for diversity.
Yes, this is the first time we've had gender parity on the podcast. Yay!
Oh, look! We've done it.
Finally, now we just need to make some black friends, because... Oh my God, I'm probably going to take that out, but it needed to be said. So this month we watched Timecop and Hudson Hawk, and we have an outline, but I feel like there's really not. We're just going to be talking about that, and then Sarah, I guess I'll preface it with the story I put in the outline. So then maybe if you want, if you want to speak on that, feel free. So Tracy and I were watching Timecop. We set up like a lot of people have done lately. We bought like this really cool, like very cheap battery powered projector. And we hooked up a Roku to it, and we watched Timecop on our neighbor's garage, on the side of their garage, our backyard. And there's this scene in Timecop where this dude is just like nonchalantly sitting at work, and not just at work, but like in a big control room, just sitting in the control room with a VR headset on, watching porn. And that came up. I forgot about that in Timecop, but that is projected on the wall with my PA system, just blaring it into the neighborhood. So that was awkward. There's a couple of people who have kids down the street from us. So it kind of made me think about like, ratings on movies and like American like censorship and prudery and all of that. I don't know.
So this is early 90s. You have to remember, this is an era in the like late 80s to early 90s when all action films had boobs.
Yeah. Just like randomly. Yeah, that's very true.
Dude,
Yes.
Remember, can we all just take a moment to remember the most gratuitous of all of them being Demolition Man? When he
is that the three-titty alien one?
No,
what am I thinking?
No, Demolition Man is
Total
the
Recall.
One. Okay.
Yeah. Demolition Man is the one with Rocky. What's his name?
Stallone.
Yeah.
Was Stallone, who's a cop who gets frozen into the future.
Uh-huh.
And at one point, literally, it's just a video phone and someone calls the wrong number. So the screen pops up and it's a topless woman. She's like, oops, sorry, wrong number. Click, and that's it.
Yeah, and as a kid who was like entering my teens in the 90s, I have especially vivid memories of these. I could list off an embarrassing number of movies that have this, but I will say the weirdest one. The weirdest one, Commando.
Start listing them.
Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. In Commando, there's like, I don't know if you all have seen. Tracy, have you watched Commando with me?
No.
It's not good, but that's not the point, right?
There's no women in it, and somehow it has tits.
Yeah, so it's like there's these two like giant beefy dudes beating the shit out of each other, and one of them, and they're like in a motel parking lot, and one of them like punches the other one through a window or a door, I can't remember, and then like randomly there's just like a couple having sex on the bed for no reason. It's like 15 seconds long. I mean, maybe I think there's two things that we can talk about here. There's like okay, so nudity, whatever, censorship, there's that element. And then there's also just like gratuitously inserting things just for like crass crowd approval for no reason. I feel like those are separate. Those are two things we're talking about here. I don't know. Tracy, what were your thoughts when that came up on the screen? Did you remember that in Timecop?
No, remember, that's when I went to the restroom. I missed it.
Okay.
Tracy,
So you were just like alone in your backyard.
yeah, like,
To be fair, then you missed the one funny joke in the entire movie, because Bruce McGill is like the highlight of this movie, the guy who plays the chief. But he walks in, smacks the headset off the guy, and goes, "I catch you fucking this computer one more time."
Oh, that would be good.
yeah.
Oh, God.
I just feel like this, it very much reminds me of one of those situations where there's like a very highfalutin, like argument about art to be made and about like people being able to, embrace their sexuality or whatever. And then there's things like this that just ruin that argument for us when we try to make it. I just feel like, you can't pretend that there's a lot of artistic merit in this, but I don't know. I digress from that.
Okay, but like, let's not. Okay, like, I don't need to lecture you on high art versus low art. Like,
Right.
how many dicks do you see in Renaissance paintings?
I mean, but then there's the whole fig leaf thing, which was a totally earlier
Right,
version
but
of
this
this.
is all still just wank bank bullshit. Like, there's a conversation to be had about the beauty of the female form, but let's also not mistake the fact that the male gaze is undeniably driving the framing of everything from Timecop to Venus emerging from the sea.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I think you have to also note that, like, with Jean-Claude Van Damme in here, that was a missed opportunity to just, like, show some dick, too. Because, I mean,
I love that Van Damme was, like, the only dude whose, like, ass shows up in every movie he was in the 90s.
oh, yeah, and there's some precarious balls going on there, too, because he also has to do the splits in every single movie. Every single movie. God, like, one time my brother and I, because we have like 4 or 5 of the Van Damme movies, and we just watched them back to back. And then we were like, does he do the splits in every single movie? And we ended up over the course of a summer watching like 25. Like, the only one he doesn't do the splits in is JCVD. Which, when did that come out, Chris? Like 10 years ago?
Yeah, like way late. Like, I don't think he can do the splits anymore.
No, I don't think like a 55-year-old man can do the splits like that. But
Look, the best Jean-Claude Van Damme movie is Bloodsport. And I can talk for an hour about Bloodsport and how, do you know the backstory on that? How, like, that whole story is supposedly a true story based on this, like, lifelong con man who would just make up weird shit. Like, yeah, one time I fought in the Kumite. The what? It's this martial arts tournament that only happens once every 10 years. And Jean-Claude Van Damme was like, what? Tell me more. I must know about the Kumite.
So like Jean-Claude Van Damme was talking to Steven Seagal is what you're telling me. Because that's really what that sounds like.
Steven Seagal and this guy knew each other and hated each other because, like, con men recognize each other.
Because they're the same person, yeah.
No, like, when you hear these, like, his name is actually, like, Dukes. Like, whatever the character's name in Bloodsport is, that's the guy's real name. And if you watch the credits, he's an executive producer on the film. No, so the best is Bloodsport. The weirdest is The Quest, which is basically a remake of Bloodsport with some Mortal Kombat thrown in.
Yeah.
And my personal favorite is, what's it called? I think it's called Penalty Kill, where he has to stop terrorists from blowing up a hockey game.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Because it's total, like, lean in. It's like late night. It's like 98, 99.
That one's like just for Canada, pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah. I think the weirdest one is Legionnaire. Has anyone but me seen that?
Yeah, of course I have.
Okay, it's real bad. Like, I don't even really want to talk about it. It's probably the only Jean-Claude Van Damme movie worse than this one.
What's the what's the one where they're dead soldiers that are brought back to life and they have to keep them cold?
What is that?
You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
I do.
Oh.
They all kind of blend together because it's kind of like, I think we were talking about this a little bit last time, where it's like you got all these, everyone who is in the Expendables and plays a sheriff, they also play themselves in like every single movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think the thing is, though, I think you have to give like Jean-Claude Van Damme and Arnold Schwarzenegger some credit because they're also like overcoming a really strong accent. And so anytime you see them, like that you always have to work that into the characters somehow.
Yeah, no,
Point of order, Jean-Claude Van Damme's accent is not that strong.
Really? Maybe I'm just imagining that. I thought it was pretty strong in like his early movies. Maybe not.
So his problem isn't so much his accent, it's that, like, honest to God, his English vocabulary is not super extensive. Like,
True.
They managed to make it, like, there's a joke about it right at the beginning of this movie where, he says something like, oh, my moves speak for themselves. And she's like, well, with your English, something better.
Oh man, I think we have Sarah's head has been frozen. Uh-oh.
Well, anyway, Timecop sucks, and why did you make me watch it?
What did you think of it? I want to know what Tracy thought of it while Sarah comes back. What did you think of it, Tracy? There's Sarah. So what did you? We've talked extensively already. What were your thoughts while watching Timecop? I'm fascinated to hear this.
Sorry, what was that? Your audio cut out.
Oh, sorry. What were your thoughts about, like, when you were watching Timecop? Can you paint a picture for us for what that evoked?
Full disclosure, I only watched half of Timecop and decided to not watch the second half as an act of self-care.
Yep.
Wow. Every day I wake up and I feel very thankful that I am not attracted to men, like what a blessing that's been bestowed upon me, because straight men, it turns out, are incredibly boring. Yeah. No, this is a movie that, like, honestly, premise, I'm into it. Like, this is not like an irredeemably terrible movie. It's just that every decision that is made is the most boring possible decision.
Yeah, so here's the thing. The movie cannot decide at all if it wants to be a Tom Clancy high-concept political thriller, a science fiction movie about the effects of time travel, or a tight character piece about a man balancing family and duty, or for a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie with completely meaningless fight scenes.
Yes.
Also, like, okay, let's just, I know I'm just nitpicking. I'm picking nits off a baboon's ass, right? Like, this is just a problem all the way across. Why is he the worst cop ever?
It's a good question. It seems like his station in that, whatever that department is, was like hard won. So at some point you would assume he did something competent.
Let's go before that. Okay. From the framing of the movie, we are to understand that he very gently stops the world's gentlest purse snatching, right?
Yes.
And then from the framing of the movie, some people see him mess with a purse snatcher and decide that they're going to track him down at home and kill him. And in order to do that, they beat him up in the front yard, go inside, and then blow themselves up.
Yeah. Is that explained ever in the back half of the movie?
It is. In like, Sarah, seriously, in like the last 15 minutes of the movie.
Okay.
It's the dumbest shit ever. Cause like, Tracy, you should tell your experience of this too. Cause like when we were watching it, we saw that part and we're like, wow, was that just like a, America fuck yeah moment? Is that what that was? Like, was that explosion so big? What could possibly have caused it?
Right. Okay. It's one thing for us. I'm sorry, Tracy. It's one thing for us not to question that. That was his house, and he's a cop. And he, for 10 years, does not question why his house was suicide bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That part made the least sense to me out of everything. Whenever he goes, whenever it cuts to him and it's just like, oh yeah, 10 years later, he's just like operating, and it didn't seem like he was really time traveling yet. And he was just like, yeah, my wife died. That sucked. That was pretty bad. And then of course she couldn't tell him the news that she was hinting at so like clearly. Which like he was too dense to even pick up on, which maybe if he would have picked up on that, he would have done something in the first place to try and stop it from happening. But yeah, I thought that the last 15 minutes was probably some of the best part of the film, just because we found out that matter cannot exist two places at the same time, right? Or is that how it goes? That's like the best part of the movie, in my opinion.
That's a great transition, Tracy. Chris, go ahead. I could see you have something to say.
Like, that part kept always making, again, I realized that I'd never actually seen this movie. I had seen the TV show based on this movie.
Oh.
There was a one-season TV show. I watched every time travel-related TV show in the 90s.
Yeah.
So, what they're going after from a physics perspective is the idea that matter cannot occupy the same space, right? It's impossible, because of physics that it can't. So if there's two, no.
First of all, that's way too complex for Jean-Claude Van Damme to do anything with. Like, let's just admit that right out of the gate. I mean, I was like you, Chris. I love anything having to do with time travel. It's my love of Bill and Ted and all of that. Maybe we could talk about that later when everyone gets a chance to see it. But
okay, but here's the thing. I think I know why they did it. I can't fully put it into words, but this was sort of a thing in the 90s with a lot of these movies. If you notice, Jean-Claude Van Damme doesn't kill anyone in this movie.
Right.
Ever.
Is that true? Because that one dude's arm got shattered and then he fell off of a tall thing.
But then he fell off. He didn't kick him off. That dude fell.
Is Timecop rated PG-13? Maybe
There's
that's
tits in it. There's tits in it. There can't possibly be rated PG-13.
Wouldn't it be great if movie ratings
hard.
were that straightforward? If it was like no rating, it's like there's tits in it. Someone dies. Someone says fuck. Like you know exactly what it's about.
I mean, it's kind of is like that now. Back then, it was a lot more like they actually print reports now. Like here's all the blah 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 blah. Back then, it was a lot more like loosey goosey, who did you bribe sort of thing.
Right.
But that's also why like every indie movie it ends up rated R.
Yeah.
And every Marvel film can be PG-13, no matter how many people you blow up.
Right.
But oh my God, no! Like, there's a scene towards the end where he pulls the gun out of the floor, right? Like he remembers where he hid the gun in the old house. So he loads the gun, goes outside, sees the guy killing whoever, and then he pistol whips him for like several minutes with the loaded. He never actually shoots or kills anyone.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like
his
all the
wife
ninja
does.
His wife does.
Blows that dude's balls off and he falls off the roof.
And that house was so distractingly nice. I was just like,
really nice house, yeah.
It really was.
I want to know how they rebuilt it in 10 years, but also still made it look 100 years old.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was like an old lot house that they just wanted to get rid of anyway or something. Like how they,
Well, the one they blew up was a miniature.
Right.
I mean, like very clearly. Like,
You mean because pieces of it flew out as though it were like an exploding star, and that's not how real buildings blow up?
anytime you see something blow up in slow motion in the 90s, it's a miniature. And you do it in slow motion to hide the fact that physics doesn't scale. And so, like, yeah, it very clearly looks like a toy blowing up if you play it at full speed.
Yeah, I mean, I I think the main problem with that movie, if you just take Jean-Claude Van Damme's acting out of the equation, because, like, of course, I feel like it's a time travel movie, and if you're jumping around in time, like, that plot has to be you have to have that, like, in order. You cannot have a bunch of vagaries with time travel, or it's like, half the time, I've seen that movie like 20 times, and I still forget what the fuck is happening, like an hour.
Why?
Why have you done that to yourself?
Just over the years, because I bought it on DVD when Blockbuster was going out of business, and I'm like, oh, I should watch this. I haven't seen it in a while.
I did a 48-hour Amazon rental, and I almost ran out of time. I kept starting and stopping it. No, okay, let me tell you, structurally, all right, let's talk about the structural fucking mess that this movie is. Act 2 begins when he meets his wife for the second time in the mall. That is when the plot of the movie begins, and there's only like 35 minutes left at that point.
Yeah, I didn't even get to that part.
So Act 1, which is setting up and introducing the characters, is 75% of the movie. Yeah. Act 2, it's a bad movie. It's a dumb movie.
It is really bad. It is really bad. I mean,
but it's not bad enough. It needs to be
Yeah, that's
worse.
the thing.
It's like disappointing. Okay, so that's a good transition into Hudson Hawk, which is definitely bad enough.
This is a movie that I have seen 20 times.
So who's seen Hudson Hawk the fewest number of times? I've seen it twice.
This is the first time I saw it.
Okay.
First time I saw it too.
Okay, so you two tell us what you think first, because I want to hear like what the initial impression of this movie is.
Oh, I loved it. I had a great fucking time.
Yeah.
But that should not be surprising, given that Chris and I are essentially the same person. We're just slowly fusing into one being. Don't worry about it. It's fine. No, this was a delight from start to finish. Yeah.
And also, I want to point out that Hudson Hawk has a way more complicated plot than Timecop.
I know it does. It totally does.
It books. Like, I forgot that you've introduced all the characters and you are into the first heist in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got into it really quick.
They did.
Oh, God.
Tracy, what did you think? You don't have to wait for us to stop talking. That's not something we do on this podcast. Just go.
Yeah. No, it wasn't my favorite movie that I've ever seen, is how I would phrase that. I think that like it was hard for me because like whenever they were in the very beginning going through like how they timed out like how they were gonna how long to rob something, that they were doing it by songs. Like, well, I thought that it was clever. That also like cued me into the fact that there was going to be singing, and that and I was just like, why? Like, this could have been really cool, like just heisting it up. But then I was like, they're going to sing while they're doing it, and it's going to be like the fucking Seven Dwarfs, like whistle while you work, and I'm not going to be able to handle it. Which is what I felt like.
Yeah. Yeah. And the weird thing I thought about Bruce Willis is, like I said, this is only the second time I've seen it, I think. But when you guys were talking about it last time, I thought it was going to be like Bruce Willis going all out and just like really trying to sell it so he could launch his singing career or whatever. But he totally half-assed it. Like he totally was like still trying to be a cool guy while he sang. And that's not how singing in movies works. Like you have to just like go for it, right?
So have you heard his music?
I have not. Aaron is the only one who has owned one of his albums. I just want to remind everyone of that since Aaron isn't here to defend himself.
That's how he sings. Also, I want to point out that the Hudson Hawk theme, which is, the theme that plays, which does have words if you watch the credits.
Oh,
yes,
yeah, I did catch
heard
that,
those.
It's the very last song. Did you see who wrote the Hudson Hawk theme?
I have a guess.
Bruce fucking Willis.
Oh, God. Does not surprise you. I was going to guess Steven Seagal again, but...
No, I mean, this is, like, just on the surface, if you go, hey, there's a movie with multiple musical sequences, and the only people who sing are Bruce Willis and Danny Aiello.
Yeah.
That alone, I'm sold. What? On board.
Yeah.
Though, admittedly, I have to. Okay, so again, growing up in the middle of nowhere, the beginning of my love of movies were the Saturday afternoon movies, right? For every Saturday and Sunday afternoon, they would run 2 movies, and they would run cheap movies. And this is a movie that was in heavy rotation.
Yeah.
So I probably saw it for the first time at 8, and have been kind of obsessed with it ever since. I legitimately and unironically love this movie. Guys, I own it on DVD. That's how I rewatched it.
Oh my God. Well, okay, so like you were talking about the cast, I mean, it had Andy McDowell, who we talked a little bit about last time, had Sandra Bernhard in it. I totally forgot about that.
Oh, she was great.
She was. I mean, she's
her,
always
Yeah,
yeah.
her and Richard E. Grant were absolutely the best part of this movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, just devouring scenery.
I was distracted by David Caruso throughout. I was like, where do I know? I was like, oh, that's the CSI Miami guy. I kind of feel bad for him now. Yeah, I mean, I have to say, while I was watching it, I was not bored the way I was with Timecop, but I was definitely irritated throughout, just what the fuck is happening? I was so distracted by the thumb cuffs. I just get out in the weeds and stuff. I was like, what the fuck why do they have tiny thumb cuffs? There needed to be some, because okay, so first they're both oh look, I can get out of this in 6 seconds, and then later in the movie when he slaps those on someone, it seems like they should have demonstrated these are difficult to get out of, and they didn't forecast that he was an incredibly skilled thief, other than, oh, you were in jail and we want to hire you to do something. I mean,
No,
I don't know. I was very distracted by the thumb cuffs.
one, he stole the keys off the parole officer and locked him in the prison.
Yeah.
2,
That's true. That might have been one of the times when I was doing this and I didn't see. Go ahead.
That was 2 minutes into the movie, Joe.
Yeah.
Why is your embarrassment threshold so low?
I
Talk about this.
I don't know.
Let's
I don't
unpack
know.
this.
I don't know. I like to get it out of the way at the beginning, so then I can just watch the rest of it like this.
So then there's the
That's no
thumb
way to
cuffs.
live your life.
The thumb cuffs are explicitly, he puts them on, what the fuck are these? He says, my record's 15. I bet you can do it in 8. They're constantly layering in this idea that, he's a thief, he's a pickpocket, he's a, the whole conversation in the prison when the parole officer is like, remember when they arrested you 10 years ago and there are all these reporters here, the world's greatest cat burglar? Now look, no one gives a fuck. No, Joe, they spend literally 10 minutes beating you over the head with the idea that he's a very good thief.
Yeah.
And then you're just like,
Oh my God, there were some. What's the opposite of bon mot? There were some of those in the movie where, God, there was a screenshot Tracy and I took that I'm not going to bring up. I sent it to Chris, but there's
Butterfingers.
Yeah, dude.
That character was problematic. I'm going to say the word problematic here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he was. But Tracy, wasn't there what was the other part we were watching where there was a car chase and Hudson Hawk just randomly screamed something and we're just like, what the fuck? I don't even remember what it was.
oh, it's when, I already know what it is because as a kid it was my favorite scene in the movie, which is when he's on the gurney flying down the road and he screams, how's my driving? Call 1-800, I'm gonna fucking die. Or come on, the girl in the convertible next to him. Hey, mister, are you gonna die?
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was my favorite scene for sure, was him on the gurney going down the highway.
Just
Yeah,
the
that's
whole
definitely
movie, again, this whole movie, the whole theory about it is that Bruce Willis wanted to make a series of films starring a New Jersey hero.
Uh-huh.
he's a Hoboken boy who wanted to make a Hoboken Hero. So of course, one, he's a criminal. And it's like there's a lot of weird jokes in there that are so regional. Like, two, of course he knows and has perfect change for the tunnel while flying on a gurney down the road. Like, yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. Is he genuinely thought he was making a blue collar hero for the New Jersey set?
Yeah. He should have just gone for the Jersey Devil or something. Like, just do cryptozoology. What was with the Looney Tunes physics? Because, like, Tracy, you mentioned that when we were watching it, where it was like someone was getting punched and they like stood up like one of those.
Fun.
I was also very confused by that.
Yeah, I think that part was like, sometimes in the movie it felt like a kids movie to me. Like, it felt like it was geared towards kids. Like, whenever I'd hear them say fuck, I'd be like, whoa, you can't say that, this is a kids movie, right? Like, I had that like legitimate response whenever in that scene you're talking about, Chris, where I was like, did he just say the F word? Oh my God, that's so not allowed in this movie. But then there are other parts where I was like, no, this is an adult film. I'm not an adult film, but an adult, synth film. And like, but I felt like that got really confused at different points for me, where it felt like Looney Tunes-ish, like you're saying, Joe.
Yeah, and then it had like the weird CIA, whatever those guys were, like the villains gallery. They kind of all seemed like characters from the Matrix. Like the Kit Kat guy, I was like, what the fuck is this? Why can't he talk? Like, give me something else and he just like prints out everything he could possibly say on Trivial Pursuit cards and hands them to people.
Yes!
Here's the thing. To be fair, like, this movie bombed hard. I love a movie that doesn't give a shit about genre.
Yeah.
That's just like, yeah, fuck it, whatever. Throw it in the blender. Let's see what comes out the other side. And it's almost always a mess, and I almost always love it. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, like, this is just, I mean, one, this is the kind of movie that is the end result of, one, no one saying no, but also two, like, endlessly revising your script, where you're constantly coming up with new ideas.
Yeah.
What if the CIA shows up and there's all these CIA agents and they're all named after candy bars? Oh, that's brilliant, Bruce. That's brilliant. We're putting it in.
Oh my God.
An excellent group Halloween costume.
If we ever get to have Halloween again. Yes. Oh man. Oh, so Tracy, while you're on the podcast, let me just take this moment to get your input on this. So Aaron and I, and we're probably going to try to rope Wendy into this too, are trying to think of horror movies for people who don't like horror movies.
Oh.
And we're doing this to them because they've made me watch 2.5 musicals already. So like,
movies are bad for me. Like,
so
I have anxiety.
Okay, right. So I'm the same with things like if it's someone getting chopped up, or like, I don't want to watch Saw or anything like that. Tracy is a big horror movie person, so I don't know if you have.
There's like a pretty low stakes horror movie from like my childhood that I always thought was actually pretty scary. I think it's actually a Disney film for what it's worth, but maybe I've seen it before. Watcher in the Woods.
Oh yeah, you maybe.
Sounds familiar, but I don't think I've actually seen it.
You've made me watch that.
It is low stakes. So like, as far as someone who really gets freaked out, I would say like, it's not gory. It's not over the top. It's very subdued.
Yeah, and we've been watching on our antenna TV. You guys know Svengoolie? Have you ever heard of that? Yeah. So it's for listeners who don't know, it's kind of like Mystery Science Theater for 3004 horror movies, except it's this guy who has just been like a weird Elvira style. He's kind of like, I mean, he's like fat male Elvira, but he has like this weird, vaguely Day of the Dead makeup thing, and he will superimpose himself into the movies, and they're all like crappy black and white. What was the one we watched yesterday, Tracy? The Curse of the Mummy or something like that.
The Curse of the Mummy.
Yeah, they're Hammer films. They're all like, they're real bad, but they're fun because there's
I could watch a Hammer film like that.
Okay, maybe we'll do that then.
Like
Yeah,
anything like pre the dissolution of the Hays Code, I'm sure I can handle.
Okay. Fair.
Oh, did y'all see that our old friend Kenny Ortega has done it again?
Oh no.
Oh, you sent me the link for that, but I didn't watch it. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, imagine Gem and the Holograms.
Oh, right.
It's a movie, I think it's a series, which is a problem. Instead, it's not a movie, it's a series. Think Gem and the Holograms, but instead of holograms, they are the ghosts of a boy band who all died together, and they can only be seen while performing with her.
This came directly from my brain.
Yes.
My id wrote this movie.
Oh my god.
Yes.
So what else did Kid? I'm trying to find other movies. Did he do Hocus Pocus, or am I remembering that
Yes.
incorrectly? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That might actually be an interesting Halloween movie to watch.
Oh, I love Hocus Pocus.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's weirdly disturbing. I definitely watched it as a child, and I think I blocked a lot of it out because I watched it recently as an adult, and I'm like, wow, this is dark. I'm so weirdly obsessed with virginity for a Disney film.
Yes.
The Enola Holmes Netflix movie is coming out. I mean, I'm just going to watch it, whether you guys want to or not.
He did. So he did like the soundtrack for This is saying he did like Ferris Bueller, like he did something for Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Pretty in Pink and stuff like that.
He was EP.
Okay, I gotcha.
No, he's a legit big, like he doubled down on some projects that didn't really pan out, and like that's sort of how he ended up on the Disney Channel, making High School Musical, which inexplicably created a third act in his career.
Yeah. That's like a blues man by the crossroads. That dude totally like made some dark pact with a demon after Ferris Bueller and all, after like that fame went south.
This is much more Monkey's Paw. Like, let me do one more hit. Okay. This one, not this
translated
one.
that success into making the Footloose remake.
Oh boy.
I have seen. It is very boring.
Yeah.
Very.
Man, I haven't seen Dirty Dancing in a really long time. I kind of want to watch that again.
It holds up.
I fucking love Dirty Dancing.
Yeah, I didn't realize. We were watching. Tracy and I were watching. Oh, what's the Amazon show? It's like Miss Maisel, something with Miss Maisel in it.
Miss Maisel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they went to that weird Tracy, you know more about this than I do, but it's like a resort that's like just for Jewish families.
The Catskills.
The Catskills. And so it was like that. I didn't realize that Dirty Dancing was that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like you talk about, maybe it was in the movie, but like you talk about the way that, I don't know, like maybe even like Gentile white culture kind of is hegemonic.
How do you love movies?
I don't. Well, I watch it when I'm 10. When I'm 10, I don't really understand much about Jewish culture. Growing up in a Catholic household with like one Jewish cousin, so that's how I get that.
Narration of Dirty Dancing is like every year my family went to the same resort in the Catskills. It's literally in the narration.
Yeah, but I didn't realize like the cultural context for the Catskills. I thought it was just like going to the Ozarks or something. I didn't really get, and it was like. I didn't really get that it was like a whole thing. Well, because in Miss Maisel they show
stand-up comes from.
Right.
Exactly, because it's like summer camp for like adult and children like who are Jewish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's a whole program for everybody.
This is a time when there were only two venues for stand-up comedy. Burlesque clubs where they would hire comedians as opening acts.
Right.
And the Catskills during the summer, that's it. So all of these, like Milton Berle, all these guys literally came out of the Catskill circuit.
Mm-hmm.
where they would spend all summer hitting these family resorts and then spend the rest of the year touring strip clubs.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why, like, in Ms. Have you guys seen Ms. Mazel? Have you watched it?
I haven't seen it yet.
A little
No.
bit.
It's pretty good. There's like, I don't know, Tracy, wasn't it like a whole season where it's just like the main protagonist and her weird interactions with Lenny Bruce, and then like she's in the Catskills and she's like trying to avoid her family and also like go to the clubs on the weekends or something like that. It's a good show. Yeah.
I think it was Mara Wilson. There's someone who's like, yeah, everyone thinks us Jews run Hollywood, but they got a Goyim to play Miss Maisel.
Interesting choice.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I've caught it in passing, and like the one character I genuinely loved is Borstein playing her manager.
She's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's about this tall, and
It's so weird to watch movies when you have like an actor who has done like a really well-known cartoon voice for an extended period of time. Because like we were watching, doesn't she do Lois on Family Guy? Yeah, okay.
I mean, like we've seen her before. It's not like she's just been a
Right.
voice actress.
No, I know, but we were watching. What were we watching the other day? Bill and Ted. Kristen Schall is Rufus's daughter in Bill and Ted, and she does. And it's like mine and Tracy's favorite cartoon, Bob's Burgers. I think probably. We got.
Kristen Schall.
We went to Brooklyn a couple years ago to see the Frida Kahlo exhibit at the Brooklyn Museum, and we stayed in this like super shitty Airbnb, and they had like one of those old school radiators that like would just make the room like 120 degrees even when it was, what was it, like 40 degrees out or something. And so we just both fell asleep on their crappy futon with the heater just like spraying steam into the room watching Bob's Burgers. Fond memories of that show.
Yeah, special Bob Burger memory coming from Joe.
Like I always love Kristen Schall. Her stand-up is fantastic. She used to, her writing partner is Kurt Braunauer. Shoot, how do you pronounce his name?
I don't.
But they used to have a doubles act where they had a bit that I cannot explain to you. You have to look it up.
Kristen Schall is a horse?
Kristen Schall is a horse. And
sometimes I just think about that and I laugh quietly to myself.
The joke of the bit is how long it goes for. Again, everyone listening, go look up Kristen Schall as a horse.
Yep.
You have to understand that they used to tour with that, and it was a challenge because it's kind of a physically demanding bit, and they would literally just do it till one of them cracked. Like they would get mad at each other, like stop.
What did she start out on? Like, what was her first big thing that she did?
I feel like Flight of the Conchords was her first big breakout, I think.
Her first, into the weeds. She did a very popular, would occasionally do stuff with The Whitest Kids You Know, 20 years ago, whenever that was on.
Yeah.
And then after that, Flight of the Conchords came shortly after that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Does
basically,
she just
she
look
was
a lot
just
younger than she is?
What's that?
Does she just look a lot younger than she is?
She is eternally baby faced, but
Okay.
she's.
She's got to be like late 30s at least.
Oh,
I think she's much older.
40s, thinking.
Yeah.
42.
42. Wow.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, I think isn't that pretty common amongst comics to like not do well until you're middle-aged anyway?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
There's the ones that blow up really young,
Mm-hmm.
and they tend to become weird, disillusioned artists.
When did Carrot Top blow up? Because that would explain a lot.
My God.
Carrot Top.
Did he blow up? Like,
Dude, Carrot Top.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, Tracy. Carrot Top is like the heir to the Gallagher audience.
He's been in residency in Vegas for like a decade.
You might just be thinking that he was a different person before, but really there's only like one famous comic with that hair, because he just like started doing steroids. Like, let's be honest about that.
Yeah.
There's no way a person just randomly starts looking like that.
Yeah, let me tell you. So famously, MTV did like a comedy version of the Kids' Choice Awards one year.
Yeah.
And Carrot Top beat Mitch Hedberg for Best Comedian of the Year. And Mitch Hedberg died 5 months later. And
So Carrot Top killed Mitch Hedberg is basically what you're saying.
what I'm saying is that every other comedian has never forgiven him. Ever, for this moment that everyone was like, this is it, because Mitch Hedberg was like the comedian's comedian, right? He's the one they all loved. And when they open the envelope and they're like, Carrot Top.
Wait, Mitch Hedberg died in 2005. Was Carrot Top still relevant enough to have won an award in 2005? I feel like the Carrot Top peak was in the mid to early 90s.
Or maybe even announced he was sick. I don't know. Whatever it was one of those things where it's like, yeah, no, everyone hated Carrot Top after that. But they all kind of hated him before because he was a hack.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Well, it's like it's that Gallagher thing. Like, you all know this story about how Gallagher like got tired of being Gallagher and he let his brother just do his show.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then he wanted him to stop, and so he sued him. It was just it's like.
Have you ever heard the Gallagher WTF episode?
I have not, but I'm gonna have to go listen to it now.
I think it might be behind a paywall now. It's epic.
I'm sure you can locate it.
How patronizing was Marc Maron in that episode, though? Like,
No, other way around.
really?
Gallagher comes in with a huge chip on his shoulder, just starts instantly yelling. Like, he goes on this giant rant about physics.
What?
But, like, people think electrons weigh more than protons, and I just don't understand how everyone's so fucking stupid about this shit. And Maron's like, I don't really know. I'm a comedian. Are you saying I'm not a comedian? I'm not saying you're not a comedian. I'm just saying I don't know. I don't know how much an electron weighs. Well, why the fuck not?
Because I have been working, Gallagher.
Yeah. And then literally after like 30 minutes, he just leaves. He just gets up mid-interview.
Oh my god.
Like, he's famously an asshole.
Oh.
God.
My personal favorite, though, is Bo Burnham, talking about, like, the guys who blow up extremely young. Bo Burnham, accidental YouTube star turned comedian, who is now one of the most respected and reflective directors of our generation.
What did he direct?
Gateway.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, like, he's legitimately a fantastic filmmaker, making like non-comedies.
Yeah.
And
I mean, in the same breath, like, who knew Marc Maron would actually be like an interesting actor? I mean, in Glow especially.
Well, not just an actor, that he would become like the most introspective and interesting interviewer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think his history of, like, with addiction and stuff like that had a lot to do with it, because he talks a lot about, like, his, what is that called, Tracy? Like, going through the steps. I'm asking because Tracy's a social worker, for those listening, not because of her extensive experience with the 12 steps.
It's okay. It's anonymous. I'm not admitting anything here. But no, yeah, it's the 12 steps. I mean, which are really, if someone does work the 12 steps, like, and does it in earnest, it's a life-changing thing. And a lot of people come out the other side with pretty different sort of outlook on life and character.
Yeah, because he used to be like, because when did he start? Like, or Sarah, do you guys remember? Because I remember watching him on Comedy Central in, like, it must have been the 90s, and he was like little skinny Marc Maron, like, kind of looked vaguely like Mitch Hedberg, but like smaller and more. Yeah.
Marc Maron really, yeah, he's been a working stand-up since the 90s. Actually, a little bit long. I think he actually I think like in the Comedy Cellar scene goes back to like, 'cause I know he like just barely overlapped with like Rodney Dangerfield and those guys. But he started really young.
Yeah.
And basically just working as a doorman at the Cellar. And then he was on Conan a lot. Like he would go on Conan, back when Conan would have stand-ups come on.
Yeah.
And he kind of weirdly blew up in a bit that I'm not going to repeat, where he was like kind of famously the first guy that had a 9/11 joke.
Oh, that's right.
And he was doing it. Yeah, he famously did it at Caroline's on like September 19th of 2001. Which, if you don't know, Caroline's is like, I don't know, 10 blocks from the World Trade Center.
Yeah.
Like people were still wearing masks to get in the door because of the dust.
Yeah.
And he had a whole bit, and that blew up.
Yeah.
In a good way, actually. But honest to God, I think Marc Maron is a human billboard for the success of therapy. Just in general. And he's very open about like, yeah, like I went from a guy, like he went from being the guy who literally, like we all know, we've all listened to the show. Every episode begins with like, so I used to have beef with this guy. It'd be anyone, like literally anyone. It'd be like Susan Sarandon, like, all right, so back in the 70s.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I feel like what the fuck is just a clever way to just get through whatever step that is where you have to make amends with people.
Yes.
Like inviting them on his show.
Right. And then he interviewed the sitting president of the United States.
Yeah.
It was probably the best interview Obama ever gave.
Yeah.
I mean, like, oh my God, his Terry, they're rather famously, he's the only person Terry Gross has ever let interview her.
Yeah.
And she's a huge fan of his.
Yeah.
Oh God. Also that interview, if you've never listened to that one, that's amazing. Because you're like, holy shit. Terry Gross is a badass, and we just never knew it.
I wonder if he's ever like ever offered to interview Trump, because that would be fucking fascinating. In like the worst way. Because like I don't
think he has.
I don't think he offered, because like if you've seen his recent like his most recent stand-up special, I forget what it's called, but it's like the one where he's like wearing a vest and he sits on a stool the whole time. It's like this I admit I'm old and I live in California stand-up, but he spends like half of that just being like, we're all gonna die, this is a fucking nightmare hellscape brought to you by Trump. So probably not.
Yeah, I have to imagine it'd be one of those things where like literally everyone would be like, he's gonna kill him, right? Like,
he's gonna do it. Finally, someone.
But like, what else? Like, come on, he's there. There's. Honest to God, I think there's a list of people that they will allow in the room with Trump at this point.
Yeah. There's
like the list that we're fairly certain are okay list, and that does not include all of his children.
Oh my God!
Like the other night, I admittedly was watching part of the RNC feed, just snippets of it, and I was like, "Oh shit, Tiffany's alive!"
Oh my God!
Yeah, I thought for sure they had her buried in a ditch somewhere.
They had the Attorney General of Kentucky. They had on there. He's a black guy, and they had him on, and he was like, talking about his conservative bona fides or whatever. And then they had him on. What were we watching today, Tracy? It was not Meet the Press.
Face the Nation.
Face the Nation. And Margaret Brennan, who is my favorite, because she looks like she will just like fuck you up if you mess with her. She's my absolute favorite. But she just asked this guy like a real softball question. Like, what was it? It was like, do you condemn violence?
I don't even think I think she just said like, good morning, I want to talk to you about the state of unrest. And he was like, well, first of all, I want to make patently clear, I condone all forms of violence.
He said that, and then he didn't correct himself. And so Margaret Brennan was just like, you mean condemn all four? Because she was trying to like not sound condescending about it. She's like, surely you misspoke. And he's like, oh, yes, I misspoke. I don't know if he did.
Why would she try to correct the first honest statement we've ever gotten?
It was hilarious and also terrifying just to see someone be like, I just want to make this 100% clear. I condone all forms of violence. Yep.
Well, yeah. And then again, the worst part of it was that in the world we live in, like Tracy and I had to wait for a minute because we're like, maybe he's just going with it.
Yeah.
Maybe this is just what he's actually trying to say.
Oh, did you watch the rolling clusterfuck that was the Republican roll call?
No, I didn't.
Oh my God. One guy was trying to brag about his state's history of suffragettes, but he accidentally said our long history of segregationists. Which, like, it was like South Carolina, so fair.
Yeah. I mean,
oh my
not
God.
inaccurate.
Yeah. That Guilfoyle speech was the most unhinged thing I have ever seen. Like, somewhere, oh shit. Who was the former RNC chair whose entire presidential campaign got derailed because of the, yeah!
Oh,
Howard Dean. That was
Howard Dean.
who's a
that was
Democrat.
DNC, yeah.
Yeah, somewhere Howard Dean is sitting there like, fucking come on.
Yeah. Oh my God. I know. It's like I feel like I have these conversations all the time and they all just end with like, what do we even say about this at this point?
Yeah.
Like, see you all next time. Hope you don't die. Like
And not to bring it down, but can I admit how diseased my brain is when the news came out about, God, why did I just blank on his name? Fuck. Like one of my favorite actors who died literally 24 hours.
Chadwick Boseman?
Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah, when Chadwick Boseman died, and I was literally sitting there with tears in my eyes like, oh my fucking God, this is terrible.
But yeah, Tracy and I watched Black Panther yesterday, and I will tell you, if you haven't seen it recently, we watched it on the Disney Channel, and they made that last scene at the end where T'Challa and Killmonger are fighting near that weird train thing carrying the vibranium. They made that look way better. I just remember that looking super janky in the theater. I don't remember why.
It's one of those things where it definitely it just looks better.
Yeah.
On a video screen than it does on the. I thought the same thing. I thought did they touch that up?
Yeah.
I couldn't find any evidence of it being retouched, and I think it was just that it's just different not being on the big screen.
Right.
There's some effects that work the opposite. I think anyone who's tried to watch Avatar at home, when you're just oh fuck, right, yeah, this was designed exclusively to be seen in IMAX 3D.
Yeah.
But the Marvel stuff generally looks a little better up close at home.
Up close, yeah. And man, the costumes in that movie are fucking amazing.
Oh,
gorgeous.
So good.
My cousin got to meet that costume designer, and I have never been more jealous.
Well, isn't she the only one? Who won awards for that movie? Wasn't it just her?
She got nominated for an Oscar.
I mean, I know a bunch of them got nominated. I know a bunch of the actors and producers and stuff like that.
It did not win Best Picture, which is a problem.
Yeah.
No, I remember it was nominated for a lot, maybe 8+ Oscars. And I remember watching the Oscars that year because I was really hoping it would sweep,
yeah,
take a bunch. And I know that the costumes were definitely one that did win, but I don't know that there were any others.
Ruth Carter won for costumes. Gorison won for best score.
Oh, that's
and
right.
they got best production design.
Right.
They were nominated but did not win for Best Picture, Best Sound Mixing, and Best Sound Editing.
What did win Best Picture that year?
Oh, God.
Because I don't remember. I feel like I'm going to be mad about it when you tell me.
Fuck! Green Book.
Oh.
Fuck, that's right. Oh.
Yep.
That's why I didn't remember, because I was mad about it.
I don't know why I didn't realize that movie has been around that long.
Oh, wait. It's 2019. It came out in 2018. It was the 2019 Oscars.
Yeah. Oh, right, because it's just different times of year.
Do you all remember the GIF, famously, of the cast of Black Panther reacting to Green Book being announced?
Just send that to me and we'll make it like our splash image on the podcast this week. God. Yeah, I was just like really impressed that, so apparently he found, like Chadwick Boseman found out he had cancer in like 2017, like right after Black Panther came out. And then he made, right. So he made
2016.
So he made Black Panther, and then he made the Jackie Robinson movie.
He made every major movie of his career after his death.
Every Marvel movie he was in, he had already been diagnosed with cancer.
Jackie Robinson, the James Brown biopic, all of it.
Yep.
By the way, that James Brown biopic is like one of the only good biopics made in the last like 10 years. Like I still
haven't seen that. I need to watch that.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
It's not perfect, but it is pretty fun.
Well, and just like from a regular like art world perspective, I think it was really cool to see the trend in like Afrofuturism, which is a big thing like on the broad stage of the art world right now. There's and I never say his name correctly, but there's a guy and his work is at the St. Louis Art Museum. It's really awesome. He makes like these big tapestries out of like found materials, and it's his name's Tracy, isn't it like El Ansui or something like that?
I'm sorry, I don't know which
anyway, the whole like Afrofuturism, like imagine a different reality where it's kind of like they're talking about in Black Panther. I know you all have seen, like not you four, but I know everyone has seen Black Panther, how Killmonger talks about like going back and giving everybody guns and changing the world power structure. It's like a non-violent version of that.
Yes.
Yeah. But I thought that was pretty cool. Oh man. So what do we want to watch next time? Shall we try to decide now? Or I had to cut like 25 minutes off the end of the last podcast where we were just like talking extensively
I noticed that when I listened back.
about all the movies that we were going to see. I think, so let's see. I think we're going to have to make this like a hostage negotiation from now on, where like Sarah and Chris get to like give us one and then we give them one.
That's fair. I mean, listen, as clearly demonstrated this week, if I hate it, I will just stop. So it's fine.
Yeah, and it's not like you missed any of the key elements of that movie. Anyway.
No, she missed the entire plot.
I did miss the entire plot.
That's kind of my point, though. I mean, okay, so I do think Tracy watched this movie with me, and maybe you can help me convince them, Tracy. The movie that we watched about like the Satanic Panic, about the 80s metal kids.
Oh, I watched the trailer that you put in the Google Doc for that one. I mean, listen, that was a good choice because I do really enjoy Satanic Panic.
Yeah.
Like, I do think that that's interesting, but I still don't want to watch it.
Yeah, I mean,
listen, you're on the right track, but
okay, I'm getting closer. There's
it had Daddario in it, and I still didn't want to see it.
Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting, and I will say the weird thing about it is that what's his name, Jackass guy, is actually okay.
Johnny Knoxville.
He's actually not a terrible actor.
No.
It's really weird.
Oh no, I've seen him and stuff. He's actually pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will stand by Action Park. Like, I legitimately thought that was a really fun and like shockingly heartfelt movie about a man pushing 50 still deciding to do his own stunts. But I legitimately loved that. I was like me and like 6 people in that theater, and I'm the only one that was laughing. But like, I thought it was great.
Those are the best movies, really. When you go on a Sunday and there's like 3 people, and they're like sitting way behind you.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really what you want. Okay, we'll figure.
What was the movie that you and I went to see where there were like 6 other people in the theater and we were laughing harder than everybody else and we kept getting looked at? Which one was that?
Was it the one that
was
doesn't
it Vampire
exist?
Academy?
Oh, Vampire Academy. That's right.
Was it that one?
I love Vampire Academy.
We had a great time watching Vampire Academy. All the teens in the audience were not having such a great time.
One time, Sarah drugged me to a movie that I thought was going to be like that because this movie doesn't exist. I want to put that out there. It's
the
called,
fake movie that we saw.
Is it Once? Is that what it's called? After. It's literally just based on like someone's like fan fiction about like what if I got to fuck who is
Harry
it?
Styles.
It's basically like, yeah, what if I got to fuck Harry Styles in college?
Yes.
Also clearly written by someone who never had sex at all.
Definitely written by a person who'd never been to college.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
And we went and the theater was fucking packed. And I'm like, Sarah, how did all these other people hear about this movie that doesn't exist? And oh my God, I'm gonna look it up now. That movie made like $80 million fucking dollars.
It did. Although I will say the theater was filled with the 2 of us and a bunch of teen girls, as are a lot of the movies that Chris and I go to see.
That's true.
Okay.
And I will tell you something. We were like not having a good time, but like if we're not having a good time in a movie and it's like a big packed theater, like we're keeping it to ourselves. Like we are keeping our reactions down because we're respectful moviegoers. Like we're not here to yuck any yums. But I will say in that one, like after we were done, like all of the teen girls in the row behind us were like, that fucking sucked.
$70 million.
Oh my God.
For a movie that maybe cost $13, like it has no stars you've ever heard of.
Yeah.
On a budget of $10 million.
That's not fair. Peter Gallagher is in that movie.
Oh.
I am not throwing that out there for viewing. We are not watching. I will never watch it again.
It's really bad.
Yeah. So see, this is what's hard to reconcile because you 2 do end up liking the same movies, but like your expressed tastes sound very different. Because like for Chris, it's like find me a really expensive clusterfuck that has some things going for it. Like that seems to be Chris's thing.
Oh, I also like that. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so maybe
I like all ends of the spectrum where it's just like it's just genuine, right? And this has to be.
Yeah, I feel like Chris and I are both looking for sincerity.
Sincerity. Okay.
I think that's the overlap of the Venn diagram.
See, and that's a hard thing in horror because part of what makes horror enjoyable is how insincere it is, how it's just like cynical. And although Tracy, what was the one we watched? God, I don't know as much about like the big name horror movies, like Freddy and Jason, all of that. What was the one we watched where Jamie Lee Curtis was like
Halloween?
It was Halloween, but it was like a new one where they retconned like 2 of the Halloween movies, or they just like took them out and they said no, dude, it's like recent. It's not H2O. H2O was like the early 2000s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wasn't that long ago?
I'm going to find it.
It was. I remember seeing posters for it.
I remember them being like, oh yeah, so this is a sequel to Halloween 1 and 2, but we're ignoring 3 and 4.
Yeah. It's okay.
To be fair, is also what they did with the Highlander movies.
Yeah. No, so Halloween H2O is 98, and there have been a good many Halloween since then, like 5.
What?
It's just called Halloween, but it's 2018.
Okay.
And the premise is that
I do
Jamie
remember
Lee,
that coming out.
yeah, so like Jamie Lee, it's interesting and it's a very expensive clusterfuck, and it's actually not terrible. The premise is that Jamie Lee Curtis has just been spending all of her time preparing for Mike Myers to return, and she has like her house booby trapped.
So it's Home Alone.
It's Home Alone with like Silver Fox Jamie Lee Curtis. It's kind of interesting. I mean, I'll send you a trailer. Maybe we can decide on that.
That one is good. That one is good. Honestly, like for a second I was not recalling which film you're talking about, but that was a good one. I'd watch that one again.
Yeah, because like Tracy has made me watch some truly horrible horror movies.
Yes.
Like she's making me watch the Rob Zombie. What was the one Rob Zombie one you made me watch, Tracy? Where
1,000 Corpses.
Oh, dude, it was worse. She made me watch that, but this was like worse than that, or it was a ripoff of that, and it was like the South Shall Rise Again as a like subplot. It was bad. It was bad.
Doesn't sound great.
No.
I have bad taste in movies. I will not like. I that's why I feel bad to say I did not like Hudson Hawk, because I'm not trying to say that I have good taste in movies.
Tracy,
no one likes Hudson Hawk but me.
You
I
don't
like
have,
Hudson Hawk.
Right. The reason I own it on DVD is because my friend Jeff bought it for my birthday as a fuck you. Because I'm
we did that
famous for liking this terrible movie.
Okay.
Tracy, we did that for Chris one year, and I forget what we got him for Christmas, and he's just like, thanks, and then he just like left it at our house. I forget what the movie is. It was like what? Oh no, it was the new Mummy movie that no one cared about.
I wondered what happened to that. I did not mean to leave it.
I just was like, yeah, okay, fair enough.
I watched the deep dive episode about that, and they said it was actually really good.
Really?
Lindsay
Yeah.
Ellis is still really sad that the Dark Universe never took off.
You know
Yeah.
what? I'm also sad, because that would have been funny.
It's a hard. Oh my God, can you guys hear?
Yeah.
Hi,
This is what I deal with every day when I'm trying to do meetings. It's just him yowling. They need to do some kind of weird like veterinary study about why like voice over IP brings all the cats into the room, because it does. I don't really get it, but it does.
It does. I've got a cat in my lap right now too. So.
Mine's just scratching on the office door.
This is trying to break in.
Trying to think about movies to recommend. Sarah, you mentioned one the other day, and I was like,
Oh, I
shit.
put it in the Google Doc. I put in Pump Up the Volume.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Have you guys seen Pump Up the Volume?
I kind of don't even want to click on that thing and just say yes and watch it, because I feel like then I don't go in with certain expectations.
I mean, I feel like even if we set it up, you're not prepared for Pump Up the Volume. It's very early 90s. It stars Christian Slater.
Okay.
It's by the same guy who directed Empire Records, but it is not as good as that would suggest.
Okay. Fair.
It's kind of a first draft of Empire Records.
A little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
But it also kind of predicts podcasting.
What?
Yes.
In the form of pirate radio.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
But
Yeah.
the way that they handle it, you watch it now and you're like, oh, this is a movie about podcasting.
Mm-hmm.
This is a movie about a guy who's trying to flirt with a girl via an anonymous radio broadcast that he can't talk to in real life. We actually did an OMG Titties movie about this that was lost forever.
Yeah, we have a couple of lost episodes where the footage got deleted when my computer died.
Oh.
Is this the one you took your shirt off for?
This is the one I took my shirt off. My topless scene is lost forever.
Oh, God. It's legitimately.
I forgot about that. We had an extensive discussion. That was when the curtains were broken on your living room window, and so we had like an extensive logistical discussion about how I was gonna do it and not like show my tits to your neighbors. But then we forgot about the sliding glass door on the other side of the room. Nothing was visible in the end result footage, but like it could have been real bad. It's lost anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, I mean that kind of brings us back around full circle to our discussion of censorship, I guess.
Well, because it has like the greatest like.
Oh, it's the most incredible gratuitous tit scene I've ever seen.
Like they come face to face and no one says a word, and then she just rips her shirt off. In that way that all teenage girls.
Right, it's a power move. It's like, what now, little man?
No, it's a pure submission move.
Oh.
To Christian Slater, like 100-pound, like very young Christian. Like, it's bananas.
Very weird. Okay.
Like,
still firmly in the straight up Jack Nicholson impression era of his career.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to think. This would have been what, a year before Prince of Thieves?
Yeah, because this came out in 90 and Prince of Thieves was 91.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Yep.
The best Robin Hood movie?
Yes.
I say that unironically. It's the best Robin Hood movie.
Oh, right. Cause he was, what was the character's name that he played in Robin Hood? Will Scarlet. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
With like a Brooklyn accent.
Yep.
Hey, Robin, we gotta eat. Come on.
I feel like he was trying to kind of do like the 1920s radio host voice too, like that kind of.
Oh, trying like a transatlantic, like he couldn't get into a full English accent.
Yeah.
I genuinely love that no one is attempting any kind of accent whatsoever in that whole movie.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing better than that, though, if you've ever seen, the only time I've ever seen Kevin Costner do an accent, have you ever seen 13 Days Later? Or not 13, or 13 Days. It's called 13 Days.
I don't think so.
No one did. It's a political thriller based on...
Is that the Cuban Missile Crisis one?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but I know what you're talking about.
Of course I did. And Kevin Costner is playing Bobby Kennedy.
Oh my God. That's so weird.
You're gonna cancel on you're gonna cancel on Chicago? Yeah, I'm gonna cancel in Chicago. You what? You can't cancel on Daily. No, he's too daily. Oh my God, it's bananas.
Yeah, that's what we aim for though. Any of those sound like good ideas. So yeah, so next time we will bring you some more of I don't know, you could just enjoy vicariously our collective suffering. Or in smaller groups, however that plays out. And we should say that Aaron and Wendy were not here for this episode because Aaron's mom died. So, our thoughts and energies go out to him and Wendy, and she had been dealing with cancer for a really long time. So that sucks. I don't know if we'll put that in the podcast. I just wanted to say that for the group. Yeah. That sucks. So, oh my God. Pablo is telling me that he wishes to be fed. So that's he's our most assertive cat, I think. Oh my God, dude.
Any parting thoughts before I stop the recording?
Yeah. Anything?
Did we actually decide what movies we're gonna watch or what?
I mean, you guys could I feel like we need to just say you pick something and give it to us, and we will pick something and give it to you. I feel like that's the easiest way to do it. And we should endeavor not to choose things to just torture the other person. So now that I've done that with Timecop, I'll try to pick something.
You could have picked Bloodsport, and we all could have had a good time.
That's it for episode 7 of season 4 of Gateway Geeks Podcast. We condone all forms of violence. Thanks to our hosts, Sarah Jane Connor, Chris Knetzer, Tracy Gomillion, and Joe Colbert. See you next time when the gang begins our bi-monthly film hostage exchange in earnest.